Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're diving into how we measure reading ability at Inscape and why one of the most common methods actually fails a lot of autistic learners. So let's just start with a big question. You've all heard the term reading age, right? It sounds so simple, so useful, but what if for a huge group of learners that number isn't just incomplete? What if it's actually misleading? This quote gets right to the heart of the issue. This is what researchers call a disassociation, a real gap between being able to read the words and actually understanding them. I mean, just imagine a student who can read a page out loud and they sound totally fluent and confident, but they're not really absorbing the meaning behind any of those words. That's the huge disconnect we really need to dig into. So that leads us right into what we can call the reading assessment puzzle. And to solve it, we first have to understand why these standard tests can be so off the mark and what crucial pieces of the puzzle they're leaving out. And here you can really see that disassociation in action. That's what a teacher might see on the surface, strong decoding, sounds like a fluent reader, might even get good scores on really basic tests. But on the right, that's the hidden struggle, the difficulty with meaning and with inference. That's what gets in the way of real comprehension, a single reading score. There's just no way it can capture all of this. At Inscape, we treat reading not as some destination you have to reach, but as a deeply personal journey. It's not about hitting a target, it's about a continuous journey. And those keywords really say it all: flexible, diagnostic, personalised and responsive. The entire approach is built to adapt to the student, instead of forcing the student to adapt to some rigid system. A lot of school systems fix this age at 12 years and 10 months. This is basically seen as the finish line for reading tests. But think about it. What happens to a student who's on a non-linear path when you just stop checking it? Well, progress can stall or can regress, go backwards. At Inscape, we continue to support for as long as a student needs it. The goal isn't to hit some number on a chart. It's all about making sure a student can access their classes, build their independence and get the real functional literacy skills they're going to need for their entire life. The support just keeps going for as long as it's needed. At Inscape, we take a much broader view of what it actually means to be a reader. Reading is so much more than just decoding words on a page. This model looks at the whole picture, everything from understanding the sounds and words, to reading with expression, to comprehending on both a literal and an inferential level. And notice those last two engagements in real-world application. They are treated as absolutely essential skills, not just some afterthought. The functional application piece is really crucial. What does it actually mean? Well, it's the ability to navigate the world around you, to read a sign at a bus stop, to follow the instructions, to build some furniture, or just to order food at a cafe. These are the skills that build true, lifelong independence. This table, I think, just lays out the shift in mindset so perfectly. The standard view is always asking, did they hit the target score? But the Inscape view, it asks a completely different question, like, are these skills actually sticking around? Can the students use them in new situations? And maybe most importantly, are we making sure there's no backward slide? This is a far more meaningful way to track progress. What does it actually look like day to day? Let's get into the practical strategies and interventions that really bring this whole philosophy to life. So what happens when a student's progress seems to stall? Well, instead of some rigid one-size-fits-all response, there's a really supportive step-by-step process. It starts with the data, of course, but it quickly expands to look at the whole picture. Is the environment right? Is the teaching style a good match? And crucially, it brings in a whole team of experts for a true 360-degree holistic view of the student's needs. But what about students who, because of anxiety or other needs, simply can't engage with a standardised test? Forcing them into that kind of situation can be totally counterproductive and even harmful. And this is where a truly therapeutic and compassionate approach really shines. So instead of forcing a test, the assessment becomes way more authentic. It's done through things like observation in natural settings, looking at real work the student has done, and using low-pressure activities, and working alongside our therapists. The guiding principle here is emotional readiness, because at the end of the day, a student just can't learn if they don't feel safe and supported. And the support isn't one size fits all either. It's scaled directly to what the individual student actually needs. So for someone who's perhaps a couple of years behind, maybe some targeted small group work is perfect. But for those with greater needs, the support becomes much more intense and personalised, often with one-on-one sessions and a completely unique learning pathway. The ultimate goal of this entire approach isn't to get a better score. No, it's about something much deeper and much more profound. The true purpose of assessment is to build functional literacy for the real world, independence, access to learning, and most important of all, confidence and engagement, and a love of reading. It's about preparing students for life. The true measure of progress isn't some number on a page, it's the student themselves. Are they more empowered? Are they more independent? Are they more confident in their own abilities? That's the real measure of success. And that leaves me with the final question to think about. This whole approach was designed for autistic learners, but its core principles are personalisation and flexibility.